Today on the show, our top story is this. We have wondered about this, and now Sarah Carter, the great investigative reporter, is telling us that apparently the FBI did use that dirty dossier to go in front of a FISA judge and then wind up getting permission by the federal government to spy on Donald Trump and the Trump associates. If this is true, this is a massive scandal. Think about it. The party in power uses the levers of the federal government to spy on their political opponent. That is gigantic.
Here is Sarah Carter last night.
I have spoken to a number of sources, one senior law enforcement official and another in the DOJ, and the dossier was absolutely used as part of the FBI's ability to gain a warrant to basically spy on members of the Trump campaign. We know, coming from the mouths of members, senior members of the FBI who testified, both Comey and McCabe, that the only part of the dossier that they were able to confirm that was actually factual was that Carter Page had actually traveled to Moscow. Everything else in the dossier, apparently they did not talk about that. They did not confirm. There are a number of sources that are alarmed about this, particularly people within law enforcement who are concerned that they were using this dossier to find a way to look into the Trump campaign.
So Ron DeSantis, Jim Jordan are saying, look, in light of what Senator Feinstein released because she had a cold without telling anybody, let's let everything out there. It's time to let all members see all of this. Christopher Steele wanted his, Glenn Kessler wanted all his things out there about Fusion GPS. He got what he wanted. Now the rest of Congress saying, couldn't you just put it all out there? Let the American people see everything that we see.
Well, as long as it doesn't mess up the investigation.
The only complaint about Dianne Feinstein releasing all of this was the way she did it without telling.
Well, put it this way. Grassley's the chairman of the committee, and he said it is not good because we want to call other people out and maybe bring other people in. Now what are they going to say?
It's part of the investigation.
Because if you have a confidential agreement behind closed doors and you just know that maybe any ranking member can just put it out there, what's the message to the next man or woman you want to bring in?
But at the same time, it's allowing Americans to get some answers that we've all been asking for.
Sure, but ultimately at the end of the investigations, we're going to find out. You know, it won't be long before the Department of Justice Inspector General comes out with his findings, and that, you know, we've heard in the past that there are going to be some, you know, some heads are going to roll over at the FBI. Also, and the Department of Justice. Also, according to Sarah Carter, there are more examples of FISA abuse coming out where somebody used the FISA courts to spy on people in a fashion that they probably should not have.
Her sources said that information is going to come out in the next week. The president was talking about this and says it is all a witch hunt.
There is collusion, but it's really with the Democrats and the Russians far more than it is with the Republicans and the Russians. So the witch hunt continues. There has been no collusion between the Trump campaign and Russians or Trump and Russians. No collusion. It's a Democrat hoax that was brought up as an excuse for losing an election that, frankly, the Democrats should have won because they have such a tremendous advantage in the Electoral College. So it was brought up for that reason.
So Mark Meadows last night says that he's calling for every member of Congress to have access to not only the FISA applications, but all the other outstanding work Chairman Nunes has put forth in gathering documents. They haven't seen it. So this brings up another thing. What was Samantha Power doing unmasking as a UN ambassador, unmasking everyone possible? And what was the reason put forward that you unmasked who Michael Flynn was talking to from here on in? Who else was unmasked? We don't know because we don't know what Robert Mueller's using, what he's not using. Is this just a sideshow to something else he's working on?
Well, I think the good news is the answers seem to be coming out. So I think we will get to the bottom of it. It's going to take some time, but nonetheless, people are starting to talk and dots are getting connected.
I would just, before we leave this, I would say the thing that stuck with me is the president, instead in front of the Norwegian leader, said, the country is being hurt by this. The international perception of us and the distraction to my administration is real. And I'm sure he didn't revel in saying that. 11 months in, this is a distraction. So whatever you think of the Trump administration, they are being hampered by this. And there seems to be much more to the case than everybody thought was there last spring when Robert Mueller took over.
Well,